Hello, hello. Today I'm here with Amie. Hello, Amie. How are
Hello,
you?
good darling. You.
I'm so excited to meet with you today. We've just been having a chat offline and there's always so much going on. And I was just showing we're recording this a couple of weeks before launch. And I was just showing Amie how I was testing the book on Kindle last night and how exciting it is. And so first of all, Amie, tell me a little bit about your story in Emergence.
So, my chapter in Emergence is really based upon the struggles that I found throughout life, not just losing our little girl Lola, but struggles in every sense, whether it was work related, relationship related, friendship related. It's where at the time something horrible, significant but horrible happens, and you can't understand why. And you most likely choose to be the victim. You choose to ask, why me? And you want to curl up in a ball and die. My journey through my story is about finding peace in those situations, coming out, emerging through the dark into the light, and also setting myself up for the future with less fear, less worry, because I found myself in this place now where I trust in the good and the bad. Yeah.
I loved how you took us through a journey of different times, like timelines in your life, where you've it's not a it's almost like the it's not a pattern of what happened, but it's more of a pattern of how you have moved through it, and it's almost like you had a framework each time, and it's based around faith and trust. And so can you talk to us a little bit about that? Like where did you pull that from in the depths?
Yep.
Was it something that you were just able that because you had this ingrained in you, or do you think it's something that's possible for anyone to find, whether
I,
it's like a religious faith or,
yeah.
any kind of faith?
And I do mention that in the story as well. So I'm a Christian. I grew up a Christian. Um, I personally think anybody can find it. I don't know what other people's beliefs are, but for me, obviously, mine is like through Jesus and God. But other people have other beliefs, and it to me it works the same way. So when you have a deep rooted connection with a higher power, so for me, God, Jesus,
Yeah.
you can see these situations as they are, and instead of saying the whole like, why is this happening, instead you shift it and you say, I trust in this. I don't understand, but I don't need to understand because I trust. And that's my biggest overall learning throughout everything that's happened to me. So through the story, I do mention things that have happened, like relationship wise, I think work wise, obviously the loss of Lola, the miscarriages. There's a lot of things that have happened in my life. And it's probably only really, I guess, once we lost Lola that everything was put into perspective. So
Mm.
relationships that broke down, that I was like, why did that happen? I didn't even see that coming. Now I understand was God stepping in for me and saying, you don't need this in your life. And yes, it's going to bring pain, but you need to understand that what's going to come is going to be so much bigger and better and brighter than what is happening right now.
Yeah.
So now, every time something happens, so if a friendship breaks down and you're like, well, wow, like I gave everything in that friendship and I got nothing, but I want to keep trying. And then all of a sudden you're like, no, wait up. It's ending for a reason. You need to trust in that
Yeah.
because it's not good for you. Something better is going to come along. Trust in the journey. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing. So instead of trying to hold on to things that are breaking in front of me, I let them go now and I go, okay, I'm going to trust in what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It might go
Yeah.
for a little bit, it might come back, it might go completely, but I always believe that everything that's happening is happening for something else to come along. And
Yeah.
look, when I lost Lola, I used to hate so much when people would say to me, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
I was like, you're just not, like, you don't understand like, right now how this is feeling. And like, people often ask me, they're like, well, if you believe in God, like, why would that happen? Blah, blah, blah. Like, well, to me, I've come to terms with the fact that, you know, she didn't have a healthy heart. And what if she had survived? And then later on down the track, we went through ongoing surgeries, the pain of going through all that, the pain that it would have caused her, like siblings later on, you know what I mean? Like just watching her suffer, or, you know, we might have gotten to know this beautiful little angel and then like had to go through even more intense pain that God knew that I wouldn't be able to handle like later on down the track. So I just keep saying to myself, trust, trust, trust.
Yeah.
It has happened, but it has happened, I think, to stop further pain in the future. And that's how I like to look at it.
Yeah. I
Just
mean, it's always about a shift in perspective, and that's the miracle. Like the shift in perspective is the miracle, and that's really how I look at everything. Like you said, I think another, like the way that I look at it personally, with such profound loss, is that like for me, if I had Amelia here, I wouldn't have Amber.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have your boys. They're just the timing of it. Like you might have a different child or different children, but you wouldn't have those exact little boys because they only came because you fell pregnant at that specific time of that specific cycle. And you just like, that's the miracle of life. So it's also that Lola is guiding you from heaven. And it's also that you don't have that pain that could have happened. It's also that you have your beautiful boys. It's also that they might be here for a very specific reason.
Yeah.
You know, like it's so many different reasons that it's not in our human capacity to fathom.
Yeah.
I think, and that's the beauty of
And
like
I
of it.
found that after all this happened, I did a lot more research into things because I don't know, it opened my eyes to all these different possibilities. And one thing that I constantly came across that I now wholeheartedly believe is that we have so many different soul connections in our life. And some of them might not be good soul connections, but we've signed up before we even emerged into this life for these things to happen so that we learn, we grow, whatever it is, whatever our spiritual needs are. So yeah, like I might have gone through some trauma with exes or friendships or whatever, but those people are still my soul connections that I said, yes, I allow you to do this for me because I need to grow, to learn to love myself, to let toxic people go, whatever it might have been that I signed up for. Lola signed up with me to show me the strength that I have within me to get through something like this. My husband and I grew stronger. Like all these things, like I just truly believe that we signed up for these lessons, and you know, they signed up for it too, for their own growth. So yeah, that's pretty special as well.
I loved the part, and I like the thing that I loved your whole story. But when you followed that breadcrumb to go overseas,
Yeah.
and you're like, what the hell am I doing here?
Oh,
Like, didn't you organize it within 3 days or something? You were on the plane, and then you're in this hotel, and you're like, I have no idea what I'm like. You had no idea what you were there for, but suddenly it all just
clicked.
and I get chills even as I'm thinking about it, because there was just this, like, you were so present to life and to everything that was in your surroundings. And had you, like, it's a domino effect. Had you not done that, you, like, the timing of everything else had come to life. So
And that very trip, I had to book it quickly because I knew otherwise I wouldn't go. So everything was like on the plane. And so I didn't allow myself to actually realize what was happening until I got to that hotel and put my stuff down. And that's when I like collapsed on the bed. I was like, what have I done? Like, oh and I just found that strength. Like it was like just this beautiful light that was like, come on, Amie, like get up. So I just put my headphones on every single morning, chose a different direction. I didn't look anything up. I made new, beautiful connections with all these like amazing souls. I found inner peace. I found who I was again. And then it reset me. It was the grand reset. I went back home and I knew who I was. I knew what I deserved. So dating looked different because I didn't accept anything that I didn't deserve. And it allowed my husband to walk into my life because I had found all these things that I needed to allow something beautiful into my life. So
yes. Yeah, the grand reset. And I think that's the key thing that anyone can take away from you might have a completely different key message, but that you have the capacity or the ability to reset at any point in your life and to create that, like to do a complete reset, clear the space and allow the space for whatever is meant for you, which is for you was meeting Ryan and, you know, the follow-on effect of that.
yeah.
But is that what you would say is the key, the core thing that you want people to take away from your story? Another one.
I think the core part of my story would be to trust. So it doesn't matter where you are in life and how you're feeling, because it can get pretty dark. Just trust that something's around the corner. Instead of feeling that loss and that sorrow, try and flip it into excitement to what is to come. And I know that's not going to happen straight away, especially like in the loss of a child, or in that instance, obviously let yourself grieve, but don't let it take you over, because you've just got to trust that something is coming out of that. Something is around the corner. Try and find some sort of excitement to what's to come.
Love that.
Now, even like whenever things like get me down, or I just try to remind myself that this is happening for a reason. I might not understand at the time, but I know it's happening. God's making me go through this for a reason. I just have to trust it. I have to go with it. I have to trust it.
And I think that's even like it's an elevated step to not just be like accepting it and allowing it, but to be excited about what's to come is it's a whole other level of trust. Because if you can turn anxiety or nervousness or you know, a really low state of an emotional being into excitement, it very quickly escalates into joy, and it's a much higher frequency. So I love that. It's not easy, but it's definitely worth it.
It's not easy. And like, look, I'm only human, so I know that there'll be times in my life where I'll be tested again and something will possibly happen, and well, it will happen. Let's be real, we are all human. And I'll be put to the test again. Like, do I fall into a pit, or do I remember the things I've been shown already and find that trust and summon that trust in my like faith again? And and that's the difference. I have both things now, whereas before I had the victim, the dark hole, the alone, the gloom. Whereas now I have these other steps that I know that I've used before and I can use again.
Yeah, that's the whole beauty of life, isn't it? Like we're meant to feel this, we're meant to feel it all and experience the spectrum of it. So, no, well, that's the key message for the reader. So, what would you say is the biggest way that you've transformed through this process? What has it been like? Maybe not even a transformation, but what has this process shown you about yourself?
Honestly, this whole process of writing for Emergence has been a healing process for me. It's given me yet another opportunity to reflect on all those things, all those dark places, and just how strong I've been, just how much trust played such an important key in everything. Because I look back on it now and I remember the pain of all these things that I was going through. I remember that I thought I would never be the same, and heartbroken and everything else. And now I'm like, well, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be with my beautiful husband today. I'd be treated in a way that was way less than what I deserved. And at the time, I thought things might have been love or whatever else. But wow, like how my eyes are open now. But at the time, I would not have seen that at all. Now I'm like, oh my goodness, like, you know what I mean? And yeah, just the healing that came from writing and going, wow, I am strong. Like, I am so strong, stronger than what I give myself credit for. I have such an ability now from everything that's happened to be able to help other people. Whereas when I felt like there was no other hope and I couldn't find anybody to help me, at least I'm like praying that this chapter gives somebody, just one person, that little bit of strength.
Yeah, it absolutely will. It will change lives. And I think the other thing is that like showing you your strength, but has it also shown you your process and your framework for moving through things? Like putting it out onto paper and showing yourself, oh, this is how I've dealt with this in the past. And it's a pattern. I do it, like I'm able to do that again and again when something horrible happens. But I have a way to move through that's my unique way. And whether that resonates with other people or they take their gold nugget out of it and use it for their own journey, or just that you actually have, like you've seen in yourself how you have moved through things, so it's kind of like something you can always fall back on, that, oh, this is how I do it, this is how I move through.
It was a massive timeline. Like, so I know when I wrote my fantasy book, you work out a timeline of events. Well, that's exactly what this was for me. It was a timeline of events. It was being able to see things clearly as they are, because they were literally written out in front of me. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that with us. The links to find you will be down below, but they're also in the book, and people mainly can just find you on Instagram, can't they? Amie Jane Solomon. So definitely go connect with Amie. She has got another book that's already out there published. So go, and if you're into fantasy, young people, what would you call it? Young fiction fantasy. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So many names these days. The genres just keep adding up.
I know. But yes, go find Amie, look at her your journey and the way that you share is just, I always feel like it's just so beautiful the way that you share your life and your journey.
I try to be real and raw, because the world needs less fake and more real, so that we can all connect and actually realize that, life's not all peachy all the time.
Exactly. And you do that with such grace. So thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. Thank you so much, my love. I'm just we'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.